Hi guys, welcome back to our podcast. In this week, we will be interviewing Coach Grant, so a Scottish coach that has worked in so many places. So he has a lot to talk with us, to share with us. And I'm here with Coach Sam. Coach Sam, you can.
Hi guys, welcome back to Football Talks podcast. I appreciate you guys watching the last two podcasts and all the engagement that you've been showing us as well. So I hope you enjoy this one. It's a very special one. A good friend of mine, Grant, coming to chat with you guys today.
Yes, so it's going to be very interesting. So I'm excited to hear, you know, a few of his stories. So now, Coach Grant, you can introduce yourself, and then you can tell us your journey until today. Like how you started, where you started, your playing experience as well. If you want to share something with us, so the microphone is yours. Welcome to our podcast.
Perfect. Thanks for having me. So I actually I've not played like a very high level at all. Like I never played professional football or anything. I think the highest level I've played is like university. So I didn't have a great amount of experience playing like pro youth or academy football or anything like that. But when I was about 17, I got an opportunity to go and coach. It was like a local boys team, so like an under 10s squad or something like that needed help, and I was playing for the local team at the time. So I think it was Seaton Boys Club in my local town here in Scotland. So I thought, yeah, sure, why not? I can spend a bit of time doing that. And now, about 15 years later, so I was 17 when I first started. 15 years later, I've managed to work across a number of different countries, doing a number of different roles and stuff. And I've had the opportunity to meet great people and basically have fun playing football and coaching football as a career. So I started off basically just coaching little kids. I then progressed through working for the Scottish Football Association, and I went on to do a degree in sport and exercise science. So I did 4 years as a degree in Edinburgh, and I was working in professional sport with senior football teams. So I was winning the championship in Scotland, League Two, and there were some non-league clubs as well. So I think I've worked about 4 or 5 different professional clubs in Scotland. And then I got a job for a university. So I've had the opportunity to work as a football coach, strength and conditioning coach, a sports scientist. I worked for Stirling University as well, which was great. I then got to work in a number of different sports. So I've worked with swimmers, tennis, golfers, triathlons, I'm trying to think of this other one, rugby, all sorts. So again, a wonderful experience meeting loads of different athletes from loads of different backgrounds, which was great. I then decided that the cold wasn't for me anymore. Didn't enjoy it. So time to move on. There was actually one morning, it was about 6 in the morning, maybe 5:30, and I had to leave my home to drive about an hour and a half to get to Stirling to the university. And it was -4, and it was snowing, and it was horrible, pitch black. And I remember sat in the car and I thought, nah, I'm not doing this anymore, not for me. So I basically jacked it after that. Then I decided that I was going to move to Singapore. I got an opportunity, moved over there. I did 2 years in Singapore, where again I got the opportunity to work with loads of different athletes and different sports. I worked with the rugby union women's team, under 18s. I got the opportunity to work with loads of MMA fighters, jiu-jitsu players, squash. There was an international squash player that was thrown in there as well. Loads of great experience meeting, again, great athletes and good people that I never thought I'd have the opportunity to work with. But then that for me kind of sparked an idea of, this is great, but I'd like to get back into football. So from there I thought, well, where are the best places for football within Southeast Asia? Because that sort of culture for me, I quite like living there. And one of the best absolute standouts in terms of football and culture and lifestyle would be Thailand. So that's where I got the opportunity to then move over to Thailand, and I worked for Buriram United. So I had 2 years with Buriram working on their football development program. That's all pre-academy, so under 8s to under 14s, and it's all about developing football, which was a wonderful program to be a part of, and how I managed to meet Sam as well. The privilege of working with Sam over there, which was changed. Sorry, that project kind of changed my outlook on football as well. Sort of showed me that there's a lot of athletes that don't get the support that they really need in different areas. And me having a background in coaching, sports science, strength and conditioning, and athlete development, that kind of gave me a little push towards helping athletes who weren't on the kind of elite or high performance pathway, or we weren't potentially going to go play the highest level, but maybe ones that got an opportunity to play socially, or the ones who then could go to university, could get scholarships or things like this. They could go on and make a career, not necessarily playing football, but being a part of football. And that's where I then transitioned over to coaching predominantly women's football. Again, loads of great athletes and loads of great people that are involved in women's sport. The opportunity to work with BSL at the time. I believe that they're no longer a club now. That's what I hear anyway. I'm not so sure about that, how that's worked out. But I got to take them into their first season of semi-professional women's football in Thailand, played in the second division. I also had another club that, another women's club where we developed more youth players in preparation for playing at that level. It's kind of preparing them for academy/women's football, kind of under 16s age. And then most recently, I moved to the UAE, where my role was to basically kind of prepare even younger age groups. So from more of that pre-academy age group again for girls, but can I prepare them and create a pathway for them to go through and play top level football in their country, or going on to scholarships and going on to universities and things like that. So kind of my focus now is more kind of more managerial type things, or academies. So it's more helping programs to develop coaches or to develop their pathway to help as many kids as possible. It's kind of like grassroots development, more so than the performance side of things.
Okay, really interesting actually. So you mentioned that you coached in like, how many countries is it? Scotland, UAE, Singapore, Thailand. Is four predominantly, right?
Yeah, so yeah, four countries that I've lived in, but there's other countries I've done odds and ends in. Yeah.
Yeah. So can you maybe touch on like the differences that you've noticed as a coach, maybe in terms of like the development side, or being a coach personally? Like, what were the differences? What were like the best parts, and the parts that maybe you weren't so good as well?
Best parts is like, well, each country has like their own kind of cultures around things, their own habits and their own behaviours. So actually learning a lot about these cultures and then being able to spend time with people from the cultures, because what I tend to find is a
Yeah.
lot of people will move their country and then they live within a group from their own country. Because like a lot of times, like when I moved to Singapore or Thailand, they're like, oh, there's an Irish guy over there and there's a Scottish guy. You should go and speak to them. And I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. But like Singaporean people are why I moved to Singapore, and Thai people are why I moved to Thailand. So having that opportunity to go and meet people from that culture, and basically you get an insight into it and you get to be a part of it. That's definitely the best thing. And again, part of the reason why I want to come back to Thailand and help develop more projects there is that inclusive is not the right word, but they want you to come in and enjoy the culture. You know what I mean? The food's incredible, and there's all these nice elements to it. Now, that's not to say that there isn't any drawbacks, there isn't any negatives to it, but being a part of different cultures opens your eyes to actually there might be different ways for me to live, or different ways for me to behave as a person. And you know, like going and seeing that firsthand and being around people who just live completely differently, opens your eyes to these things. It's wonderful. Like definitely for me is changed how I look at things and the way I approach my life and what I want to get out of it. Just from being part of different cultures. I think that for me is definitely the benefit of being in a number of different countries. You have to, I think if anybody does want to move and go to another country, I think you have to be aware of what you're getting yourself into. For me, the
Yeah.
UAE wasn't the best move, and I didn't necessarily enjoy that culture because I was looking for maybe a little bit slower paced, maybe a bit more relaxed, and more focused on enjoying and actually enjoying the training session. So it's very much about, okay, I want to enjoy this moment in this game, and then the progression of the people is what I want to enjoy. Whereas somewhere like Dubai, maybe it's like, no, you're going to enjoy the outcome of everything. So things will be enjoyed later. So it's not so much the process. It's more like, oh, look at what we did. We achieved this. So I think that's something you've got to be aware of going to different places is what is the most important thing to that culture, and then is it going to suit me? But I genuinely think, and this is something I spoke to our friends a lot about, is that like not all experiences are going to be nice, but they can all be good. Because they can always teach you something. You'll always learn something and benefit from it. So even for myself, where UAE wasn't as good a move for me as Thailand, there's still been a massive benefit, and I'm still grateful for that kind of opportunity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. So you actually touched on something that's really interesting that I've been thinking about a lot the last couple of weeks as a coach, and was that, in the UAE you said they enjoy the destination more than the journey, and what I've been changing my coaching outlook a little bit more. So I've been putting an emphasis on praising effort rather than the outcome
Mm.
more so. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, well, the thing is that, so again, this is so as an example, I like when we were developing the girls program for BSL, and we had a few games
Yeah,
to win and to get into the playoffs, um, to become a second division club. And we found it difficult because we had a lot of young girls who hadn't played at that level before, so they were finding their feet. And we only had 4 games to play in order to go in. And we had to work super hard getting those experience. We brought some girls in that were a little bit older, had more experience, and we worked really, really hard on it. And we finally
yeah,
won our last game that got us into the league. So we got we achieved a goal effectively. And I remember being sat after it like, oh, that's great. Uh, what now? And I remember feeling a bit
yeah,
flat, and I was a bit unsure as to why I felt like that. And as I'd been working so hard and we'd been doing so much that I hadn't actually taken the time to enjoy it. So then I got to the end of it,
yeah,
and I'm like, well, okay, that's great, but what now? Like I felt almost a bit lost. And I think that's the thing is that like when you take that approach of okay, I'm going to reward effort and I'm going to reward certain behaviors and we're going to be involved in things as we go through them, you're more focused on them, so
hmm
you can enjoy them a bit more. And I think
yes,
that for me, especially as a coach, so I joke with the kids now is that the most important person is me. I have to enjoy this. If I don't enjoy
hmm
this, then there's no point. And it is just a joke. Like I'm hoping that they all enjoy it as well. But the whole point is I want to be there to have fun as well, because then the kids get the
yeah,
best out of me, and it's just a better environment. It's a nicer environment for everybody to be a part of. Every person is enjoying it. And I think that's the thing. You should then get people who are looking forward to coming to training a little bit more. They want to be there. So they go, oh, you know what? I'm going to watch that little video that the coach sent me because I know I'm going to play better. So it's going to be more enjoyable for me.
yeah,
So all of a sudden,
yeah,
these little habits and behaviors start to get picked up by more and more people. And then it might be
yeah,
that just makes that player just a little bit better. So you're getting a little bit more success in games. And it might still not
yeah,
mean that you're winning games or you're winning leagues, whatever it might be, but just that little
yeah,
thing, go, I worked hard for that. I earned that little
yeah,
victory and I
Right.
enjoyed working towards it. So then for young people, that might just be that it's like, oh, what else could I work hard for? What else could I enjoy the process of? And
yeah.
then they help influence each other sort of things as well. It's a nice little thing that just being nice to people is infectious, isn't it?
Absolutely. Um, I asked you that. Like I said, I was just going through. Like I've been putting more of an emphasis on praising effort than outcome in my coaching sessions recently. I've read a book called Mindset by Carol Dweck. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No, I can't say I have.
Yes, the good
No,
one.
and it talks about growth mindset. So they had two sets of children, and the one set of children they praised on
Mm.
achieving, so what they achieved, and they praised another group of children on how much effort they put in and how much hard work they put into it.
Mhm.
And it turns out like the children that they put in more praise into what they achieved didn't do as well long term because they liked that praise. They liked being told, hey, like that you're really good at this, you're really good at, and they opted to do things a little bit easier and not
Mhm.
push themselves so they could gain that praise. Whereas the
Yeah.
kids that were praised on the effort level, they cared more about working hard because that's what they were getting praised on, and they would choose not to do more difficult things and work harder. So have you noticed anything like that across your coaching career?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think for me, as I spend a lot of time speaking to kids about this might not be that easy. But I tell you what, let's work through it and let's find ways. And if you are then encouraging that effort, you're almost
Mhm.
the reward is working through something difficult. It's not actually achieving the thing. So when things are difficult, because they will be, like anything, if you want to say you want to win Champions League or something like that, it's never going to be that easy. And there's going to be moments where you're not going to win, or you're going to have
Yeah,
games that are incredibly difficult because you're playing against the best players possible. But if you're constantly getting feedback that you're like, oh no, this is good though, we're going to work this out and we have to find ways because I want that outcome. But I
yeah,
know that the most important thing is we're going to find solutions to these little problems. So like, I definitely think that for me, uh, like you say, like rewarding those little moments of effort. And there's somebody maybe goes above and beyond a little bit. It's tapping into that sort of longer term. Oh well, actually, I'm not looking for the outcome. I'm looking for getting a little bit better every day. And then you
yeah,
also, I think, you pull away from the pressure of, from a coach's perspective, a pressure having to win, or pressure having to push people to play a specific way and to get exact things out of them because you go, all right, okay, like you're actually focused on are they doing the things in the way that we want them to do them,
yeah,
rather than, oh well, we did things the way we wanted to do them, but we didn't win the game, so that's still negative. You know what I mean? Whereas
yeah,
everybody's perspective was, we did all these amazing things. Yeah, we didn't win the game, but this is outcomes. We are better for this because we're capable of working through these specific tasks or whatever it might be. You know?
yeah. Good
Yeah.
insight. Yeah.
So I would like to ask, like, when was this moment that it started having this click in your mind, like about this approach that you were talking about? Because I've seen myself and other coaches as well, especially when we were starting coaching. Sometimes we dream about something that's not the reality, especially with
Mm.
young kids. You expect to be the coach, like start thinking, oh, my team will play like this, like that. You play, your style of what you think about football, and then you go to the pitch, and then there is a kid 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old that needs to learn. So when would you say that this you started to understand more about this? You know what I mean? Like this, having more this feeling of your approach with the kids.
So after I left Buri, and that project went really, really well, but it's just around COVID time as well. So I moved back to Scotland and I didn't have work for a while. And I was sitting looking at it and I was like, well, why did I feel not disappointed, but I didn't feel as good as I thought I was going to feel about achieving the goals that we wanted to. And then I had a bit of time off, um, so I could actually sit down and look at it. And I was like, then start to understand. Well, I didn't necessarily enjoy all the training sessions. Like I enjoyed seeing the kids, and then so we won a game, felt great. But we got points. Say we got a draw off of. I think we drew with who was it? Surin Hinkon. We were 3-1 down, came back to draw 3-3. And I was like, that was brilliant. That felt amazing. But then the training sessions up to that point weren't great. I didn't enjoy them the same. And I was like, well, why was that? So then over time, I started to think about, because I had a lot of time to think about it. I was like, well, why didn't I enjoy that? And what are other people doing in that area? So then I spent a bit of time asking coaches that, like, what do you think of that? Why do you think that's a certain way? And it was a period of about a year where I kept doing that. I just kept meeting with a different coach and asking them, "What's your approach like? What would you do with this? How do you get that out of it? How do you enjoy your training sessions?" And I was lucky actually. I have like kind of a good friend of mine who's a little bit older, who acts like a mentor at times, because he's been through that. He's been through a lot of these situations before, and he was explaining it to me. And he's like, whenever I turn up to training, I'm determined that I'm going to have the best time. I'm just going to enjoy the training session. I'm going to make sure that other people enjoy the training sessions. And that's where it starts to click, and you're like, okay, right, okay. Good coaches are telling me that they're turning up and they just want to enjoy the day. Good coaches, I see them and they're making other people's days better. And then you see like certain players' performances of, he's absolutely flying at the moment because he just feels really good. So then that sort of clicked for me, and that was maybe about a year of me going and spending time, because I had a lot of time. It's not saying that it takes that long. But after Buri, so that would have been about 4 years ago now. And I just had a bit of time to go and look at it, and it's just developed over the last 4 years. What does it look like as a training session that I'm going to really enjoy? Well, then that training session looks like playing lots of games, because then the kids are then active and they get that enjoyment, because that's what they want predominantly. The kids don't want to do drills that don't make any sense to them out of the context of the game. But if the kids are coming and going, because sometimes I'll take sessions, and if I've never met the kid before, they'll come over and they'll ask, are we going to play games today? Are we playing games? I'm like, of course we're playing games. Like, it's why we're here. We're here to play games. We'll go play football. Oh, brilliant, right, great. And you can see them. They get absolutely buzzing about it. So, again, I was like, well, I want to enjoy it. The kids want to enjoy it. So we should be playing lots and lots of games. So then that kind of shaped in my head, all right, okay. So that's the way that I'm going to enjoy my training sessions. How do I link my coaching curriculum or what I want to coach now to that type of session? So what games are fun, but what games also teach what we need them to teach? And then that led to a complete change in my approach. Not a complete change, because I've played lots of games previously, but how to set games up in order to achieve certain things. So, like, for example, you want your team to play, you want to play really, really fast on counterattacks. And then you can talk about, right, you've got a specific time scale. So you maybe have only got 5 seconds every time you win the ball to get into the opposition's half. They're playing football, so they're playing the game they love, but there are very clear rules on getting them into the opposition's half. Then that's just, for me, I'm like, right, okay, I want to make this game as fun as possible. What's the next thing? Well, competition. So everything now is about, all right, okay, if you get in, you get extra points, and then you're celebrating all the points, you know? And then basically over the last few years, I've spent time going, right, these are things that I need to achieve with the teams I want to work with. How can I make sure that, one, I enjoy it, and two, all the kids are having an absolute blast when they're playing as well. So they kind of, you're ticking off, they're getting better, they're enjoying it, and they want to come back and they want to do more. And you kind of build in that atmosphere. So I'd really say that, like, that moment after BSL and Buriram, and there was some disappointment there, having some time off and be able to reflect on it and speak to good people. And then I spent, it's kind of grown from there over the last few years, and now to a point where I've got a program or a system that I like to put in place that it's very flexible, but it's kind of directed towards how I want to teach teams, but also it does it in a way that everybody can enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So just to summarize, actually, like I know that perhaps a lot of coaches, but definitely I can hold my hands up and say, you know, there's periods of my coaching career in the last 5 years where I might have like a couple of weeks where I feel a little bit in a rut, where I just get through the session. You know, I'll try and get through the sessions, but so then you would say put an emphasis on everyone enjoying that and enjoying the session more than the outcome of improving. Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, not necessarily, because like the two things aren't like exclusive. So you can still get better and you can still enjoy it. But sometimes, so this again, this is the flexibility that I find you have to have, is that sometimes you just have to say, like, flat sessions are right off. Like, the kids are just not in the mood today. Or it might even be like, I'm not in the mood today. I've had an awful week and it's all culminated into this terrible mood that I'm in. I just want to play five-a-side this week because it's easy, the kids will enjoy it, and like they don't have to learn much. So I think that for me is like a level of flexibility, is that you also have to take into account everyone's human and everybody has their issues and everyone has loads of stuff going on. So again, like, one part of the problem that I had from my time in Buri and BSL is that when you've got a goal that you're focused on, you're like, got to get there, got to get there, got to get there, got to get there. So
Hmm.
you get tunnel vision, and again, you lose the enjoyment, but also you put a load of pressure on to be really good and to do really well and achieve it. Whereas if you've got that in you to go, you know what, actually, today, a couple of people don't fancy it. We just we need to do something else. We need to have that flexibility to go, today's maybe not a learning day, today's just a fun day. So that gets everybody back on side. Next week, we'll crack on. Because, like you say, it's not, everybody's human at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
having that comfort at times is important. Like, so there's a nice way to think of it. It's either you're gonna stretch or you're gonna strengthen. So is that you can stretch people's ideas and you can give them new ones and you can stretch their minds a little bit. That's quite difficult. So to do that all the time, it's not going to be the easiest. You're going to tire people out. They're maybe not going to be interested all the time. So then you might have sessions that strengthen. So within that, you might just be, actually, let's just play this game that we've played 100 times. But you're going to add something that you want to work on within it. So that just might be, all right, we're playing 3v3s today. That's it. Because one, it's easy for you as a coach, but two, it's easy for the kids as well. Because that might be the most suitable thing. So definitely, I think the flexibility of that, of like sometimes we need to be learning and we need to be pushing and developing and getting better. Then other times you gotta go, today's not the day for that. Today I just want to play games. And that's not to say that the kids won't be learning something from it, but you keep your environment good. And if the environment's good, people are happier, they're still going to keep coming back and have those good experiences, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Brilliant. Um, can you maybe like share a little bit more in depth of like the differences between the development of football in the UK in comparison to Southeast Asia? Like, what are the main differences that you see in terms of like coaching standards, or like as well maybe like the playing standard of the children? Is there a different kind of attitude towards development?
I think there's definitely there's like positives and negatives to both approaches. Obviously, within the UK, the standard goes incredibly high because you've got Premier League and professional academies across the UK that are trying to find the best children, the best players they can possibly find.
Yeah,
In Asia, you still can have a very, very high standard, but obviously it's not the same as across Europe. Um, what I will say is that I think that there is a massive amount of talent across Southeast Asia. And a lot of it is unrealized, and that's part of the problem. So if a lot of kids get to around 12, 13, 14 years old, and the level of support that they need is just not there. Um, part of this comes from like obviously cultural and economic backgrounds and differences to that of in the UK. So whether that's like clubs see players at 12, 13, 14 years old now, right, okay, we want to support that player to continue playing. So they're going to join, for example, in Scotland, the Hearts, the Hibs, the Rangers, the Celtic, because they are outstanding and we're going to support their play. We're going to pay for everything. All their kit, all their travel, they'll get support in school, they'll get fed, they'll get watered, they get conversations with sports scientists, strength and conditioning coaches, and they get ex-pros who've played at the top level of the game. They're sitting down with them every week and they're having conversations with them, or they're coaching their training sessions. That level of experience being passed on to younger people is massive. It's huge. And if you go into grassroots in the UK, that obviously that gets diminished. But everybody has that goal here of I want to go there. And I think that for me is one of the biggest differences between Southeast Asia and the UK is that drive to achieve the goal. Then the support in order to actually make it happen.
yeah,
So the UK tends to be quite aggressive, quite fast. There's like you'll learn quickly or you'll get beat, and it can be quite a direct version of football. Whereas Southeast Asia maybe has more of a, well, we want to play a little bit, we want to control games, we want to keep possession, we want it to be kind of a bit more beautiful and a bit more fun. So that doesn't necessarily translate to playing professional football. because if you need to win games when you're an adult, there's certain demands. So the way that kids are raised here is that, like, yes, playing the right way is important, but playing with aggression is just as important. Playing with speed, being able to identify any weaknesses in other players. Something that I don't hear a lot of
Yeah.
conversations around players in Southeast Asia is they go, that player doesn't like playing on his left foot, force him over to his left foot all the time, or he's particularly weak when he gets into certain positions, so keep putting him there. Can we be a bit more physical with him when he receives the ball, because his touch breaks down a little bit. So these little bits of being clever within the game, it's not necessarily the passing quality, the dribbling quality, the way that they strike the ball when they score goals. It's playing the game that I think that Southeast Asia lacks a little bit. That could help bridge the gap, because again,
Yeah.
like I say, there's loads of talent. Like some of the most technically brilliant players I've seen being in Asia, I'm like, that kid's class, that kid's brilliant, he's great. But I just know that you bring them over to the UK, somebody will bully them and they can't do it. And it's just different types of the game. But if you can learn the skill and pair it with that level of aggression and that cleverness around how you want to play the game, I think that's very, very important as well.
Yeah.
Right. And on the top of that, I think you would agree with what I will say. I think in Southeast Asia, I think there is I would say a lack of someone to look up for. For example, the kids here, the Thai kids, the kids in Southeast Asia, they want to be the Neymar, they want to be Messi, Ronaldo.
Mm.
But these guys, the reality is too far. It's too far from here.
Mm.
And I think this lack of some idol, some local like big player that they can see, they can know their story. Like, oh, this player, he played here, he trained here in this field, so now he's playing in a big club in Europe. So I think sometimes this also like is a can influentiate. Like
Yeah.
they think, I think, like too far from the reality.
Mm.
Okay, we can dream, we all should dream, as big as we could, but I think this lack of someone to look up for makes a huge difference as well here. Don't know
Yeah,
what
Yeah.
definitely.
what you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something that, like, there is some really, really good people in Thai football. Like maybe we're at Buri now, and what you guys are doing with the Euro Football Centre with like Elias and guys like that. There are some great people that are like pulling professional footballers in and go, I've got a great group of kids here. They need to meet someone and see what it's like to behave like a professional football player. So there is elements of it there, but it's difficult to get access to.
Yeah.
And that's something. So it's easy to see Ronaldo; he's everywhere. You can't avoid him. It's difficult to get close to a local club, and that's unfortunately part of. I suppose it's maybe like the size of football now, because it's so global, it's massive. Um, you're buying players to come and play for you. You're not raising them to become part of your team. Like even I speak to like my friend Rob Hart, who's the manager, wonderful coach, and he talks about the community a lot, like the community around the teams, and how players, they don't play within their community, they don't play for the local clubs anymore. Good players go off to England, they'll go to France, they'll go to Spain, they'll be in America, they'll be whatever. So you lose a lot of that just going, oh, he grew up in my area, or she comes from my town, and you
Yeah.
go, I'm going to do the same thing. I want to go there. I want to achieve that. And you never get the chance to meet them and ask them, how did you do that? Like, what was the most important thing? And that's where I think that partly the future of Thai sport is getting people closer to people with these experiences, and they can sit down and go, look, on this type of journey or path, whatever, it's difficult. And there's going to be loads of certain things like going out and enjoying nights out when you should be preparing for training, or not doing your homework from school because you think, oh, I'm going to be a professional football player. But it's about taking care of these other aspects of your life and enjoying that process, and then enjoying training and making sure you're playing and getting better and all this. That little bit of insight from these people is massive. I think, like you say, like people look up to these big clubs, but they're not necessarily being taken to the local clubs. Even when I was in the UAE, I was asking kids, I was like, who's your favourite player? And they're like, Messi, Ronaldo. pretty much universally. And then the odd one would throw in like Mohamed Salah, or you get an Mbappe. The French kids love Mbappe. But I was like, who supports Al Wassel? Who supports Al Ahly? Who supports Al Nasser? And they're like, no, no, no. And I was like, well, they're just down the road. Have you ever been? It's only 20 minutes drive from here. It's only 10 minutes away from here. You can go and watch them. I said, does anybody know that Iniesta plays for Emirates Club? No, 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 I have no idea. So I think potentially like having pros coming down to clubs could have a massive impact. But I also think that it's important for coaches to kind of lead the kids and show, like, look, let's go to this club and let's watch that player. What position do you play in? All right, okay, well, who plays for that team in your position? And I think that's maybe a way that you can start to bridge that gap, and you can go, right, actually, I'm going to watch. Like for me, I work with like a non-league club here in Scotland, Tynecastle. So it's like, all right, okay, I'm going to go to Tynecastle. I'm going to watch boys like Jack Chesser and Mike Cohn, because they're boys that have played at a good level, but didn't work out for them. So now they're playing a lower level. But what can I learn from them? Might I end up in that situation? I want to be playing for Aberdeen and Rangers or whoever it is. But what happens if I don't? Well, I could end up in Jack's position, and he loves training and he loves playing, but it's just not at that top level. So how do I go about either learn from his mistakes? Not saying that he's made any mistakes. Learn from his mistakes, or how do I go on that same journey as him? And I think creating connections to clubs and players in different ways is key for that, you know.
Yeah, I agree actually. Like it'd be interesting to hear what your Coach Yuri's experience growing up. But for me, I loved watching. Back then it wasn't Messi so much; it was Ronaldinho. But I didn't put so much emphasis on watching like the Ronaldinho highlights, but like the kids do now with the Mbappe highlights and the Neymar highlights and Ronaldo and stuff. Because for me, like as I've got older, like I feel like watching that 10 seconds of them taking one or two players on, that's not like real football for me. What I grew up was real football was watching a fourth division club in England at Stockport County
Mm-hmm.
and watching them
Going
play
to
and
the
then think,
stadium to watch,
yeah,
right?
exactly, in real life, and just go watch Stockport
Mm.
County play in League One and League Two and just think, and watching them gain promotion, I was like, wow, like one day I want to go play at Stockport, you know?
Mm. Yeah.
So what was it like for you? What do you think on that? Do you like your kids watching like the Messi highlights and stuff, or?
Well, see, so I use this a lot. I make little PDF documents that I can send across line or across WhatsApp to parents initially. And what I'll do is in training sessions, I'll sit down with the kids and go, "Who's your favorite player?" And then they go, "I like Messi. I like Mbappe." I say, "All right, okay. I'm going to send you one video of Messi completing skills first week." And they go, "Okay. I want you to tell me what skills he does and how he does them, and what's the most important part about them." And then they'll come back and say, "Oh, he does step overs." I was like, okay, cool, right. So what's the most important part of the step over? Well, he'll throw his shoulder so that he can add a little bit of disguise to it. I said, right, brilliant. So now in the session we're going into, I want you throwing that little bit of disguise whenever you throw a step over, same as Messi does. And then the conversation maybe becomes about who else does that? Is there any other players that you watch that do that? No, I don't know. Tell you what, how about you watch Vinicius Junior, or how about you watch as a different player, an older player that you maybe don't know. Let's watch Ronaldinho. Does he do the same things? And then once they've watched Ronaldinho, you maybe go, all right, okay, how about we watch Zinedine Zidane now? Because these are different players playing different positions, but using the same skills, right? And oh yeah, brilliant. And then in their heads, they're starting to think, well, what other players could I watch? So then their understanding of football is not that one player that they love. No, there's loads of other players that do all these things. Then you can start to say to them, I tell you what moments in the game does Messi start to do these things? Does he do them all the time? Does he throw thousands of step overs and then that's him? He just scores goals, pops in the bottom corner. No, he picks his moments. So what moments would it be? So now they start watching not necessarily individual clips, but they might watch a highlight reel. And they go, okay, leading up to the goal. How many times does Messi do step overs leading up to his goal? And then it might be, actually, you know what? Let's watch 10 minutes of this game. So we're going to watch Barcelona versus Almeria in the cup or whatever it might be. Let's watch 10 minutes of this and let's see what Messi does. And then they might go, actually, you know what? His most successful skill isn't step overs. It's the drop of the shoulder, the little change of direction that he gives with it, a little change of pace. All right, okay, can we add that to our training now? So it's almost like using that player as like an entry into it because they love
Yeah.
it. And they go, I love that player, brilliant. What other players are there? What other moments are there? What other skills are there? You can build from that. So I don't think it's a bad thing.
Mhm.
But I do think that it's a way that you can get them interested really, really quickly. And then you can start to show them that there's other things that can be enjoyed, or there's other ways that you can watch it, other players and things like that. That's when you can start to throw in different leagues. So who's the best dribbler in the Premier League? Who's the best dribbler in the French league? Who's the best dribbler in the Thai league? And then they can start to go, oh, actually, there's different leagues that I can watch, and there's different styles. Like Germany, they don't dribble so much; they like to run with the ball.
Mhm.
Scotland, they'll just punt it as long as possible, and the ball's black and blue. um, so then again, you can have conversations, but I think it comes back to it's about guiding people. Because, like you say, Sam, was it your dad that used to take you to games?
Yeah. My dad used to take me.
So he got his guide and he's like, come on, we're going to go watch a game. And I guarantee during the game, he's talking for, oh, look what's happening here. Oh, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. So then that sparks in your head, oh, that's amazing. I'd love to be a part of that. I'd love to do that. And that's now one of my favourite players because I saw him be successful in that game in person. So it
Yeah.
was a real thing, you know?
Yeah. Definitely. Um,
All right.
one
Just
one that stood out for me. Sorry, one that stood out for me. Greg Tansey. Do you
Hmm.
remember him?
Yeah, played for, was it Inverness? He was it?
Inverness,
Yeah.
and I went to another few Scottish clubs. But like looking back, like the standard of them players back then were like really to be the third and fourth division of English football and playing the Scottish Premier League as well. Like the standard was frightening to watch. It was good.
Yeah, I
Enjoyed
think
that.
that's also part of it as well. Is when you go and watch these clips, because like again, I go up to Tynecastle. The first thing I did
Yeah,
when I moved back to Scotland now after being in Dubai was like I messaged my mate and he's like, "We've got a game on Saturday." I'm like, brilliant, man! I'm coming to the game.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm watching Tynecastle versus Broxburn Athletic, and there's boys within that Tynecastle squad that have played Premier League Academy football, like the Scottish Premier League Academy football. Brilliant players. So even the standard away down non-league, you can appreciate that it's so good. The football they're
Yeah.
playing, fantastic, you know.
So I just changed the subject from some because I think we slightly touched on it, but it's something that's been on my mind as well. Coaching. I spoke with a parent today, a parent of one of the players, and they mentioned they didn't like participation awards. So
Hmm.
I'd love to get your opinion on things like what do you think about that? What do you think results matter in development of football
Hmm.
or grassroots football and at younger age groups?
Yeah. Participation awards, I'm not sure on at the moment. Um, I've recently been giving out a lot of participation awards as part of my role, and I've been deciding whether or not I like them. And that's a contentious one because people are
Uh,
like, "Oh, you're upsetting, potentially going to upset children by not having them get something." But then at the same
yeah,
aspect, it's like, oh, are we setting unrealistic expectations that they should always get something? So that's quite a tricky one that I'm still unsure of at the moment. Um, I think maybe there's certain situations that it works and it's good.
hmm,
I would tie it to their efforts.
yeah,
So you made an effort to come to every single training session. You made an effort to play in every game. Your behaviour was very, very good throughout. So I'm going to reward you for the last 10 weeks of your effort with a medal. Um,
yeah,
I would also argue I'm not sure I would give out medals. I would maybe find something else because I feel a medal you should win specifically, or you should earn specifically for winning a competition. So maybe there's other awards or rewards that we could look at. Um, but it works really well you winning something. So it might even be that you look at it as if you want to win a medal as an adult, where it really means a lot, then that effort and time and getting better, development, that's important. That's how you do it. So I can see it from those perspectives. I think a lot of the time when the behaviour wasn't very good, they didn't really turn up all the time, and they just turned up to the game on the end day where they get a medal, and they get a medal. I don't think that's really enforcing the things that we want to. So I think that's where it becomes a negative. But it's a tricky thing to kind of navigate at the moment, because it's quite deeply ingrained in sport now. Winning is an interesting one as well, but I've got a much stronger opinion on it. So I look at winning as like the same as you would like an exam. So you sit exams in school. So, well, what's the purpose of an exam in school? It's to tell us if we understand everything that we've been working on. So a specific topic. So say like you've got an English exam, comes up at the end of the year. Can you write sentences and get the words correct in terms of the spelling, in terms of the grammar, and putting across a certain point? Those are the 3 criteria of your exam. So if you pass the exam, then you have an understanding that, or sorry, you understand the topic well enough to do it to this standard. So it's acceptable standard. If you fail it, it's not an acceptable standard. So that tells us that you need to go and do more work because you don't understand this well enough. You can't write sentences well enough, or you don't understand the spelling of words, so you confuse certain letters or something like that. So we need to go back and we need to teach you how do you use those letters properly, or how do you shape your sentences properly. So then, say we have a league where you play each team twice across a league season. For me, games are just little exams, little tests that across this 10-week season where we play every team twice, we are going to look at, we're going to teach you how to play attacking possession-based football, whatever it is. So my training is going to be based around how do we keep the ball, what passes are we going to use, where are we going to play our passes, and then can we do it against an opposition. So then, say I do like a little rondo game that's about passing the ball forwards, so we have to switch boxes. So basically, that builds into can I get the ball in the opposition's half. So then we go into the game on the weekend and go, okay, how do we do that against an opposition player? How do we get the ball in the opposition half? Well, one player has to make a run in, and then we play it forwards, and that gets us in there. So, okay, we did that really well today. We did it 5 times. We played passes into the opposition's half. That's success. Then the second time we play that team in the league, we maybe look at it as actually we did it 9-10 times. So that's even more progression for us. So we got across that period, we were very, very successful. Now, by the flip of it, you might play against a team and you go, this is a stronger team in the league, so this is a bigger challenge for us. And then you might find that against the weaker teams, you can make 5 passes, but against the stronger teams, you can only make 1. So they worked out what we're trying to do and they stopped us from doing it. So now our training, because we failed that exam, we lost the game, for example, or we didn't make as many passes as we wanted to. So we go back to training. How do we do that against teams that maybe press us higher or they sit deeper and they stop us from playing that way? So for me, winning is like an absolutely essential part of sport, but it's not the be all and end all.
No.
It just tells us if we're getting success or not. So I encourage all my teams to go and win and enjoy winning. But if we lose, they go, all right, cool, we lost. So we need to go back and we need to do more work. So then you can have proper conversations. You sit there and go, why did we lose? What did we do that meant that we lost that game? Oh, well, instead of passing forwards, we started passing sideways. Okay, why did we pass sideways? Well, they pressed us faster. So they went to the ball and blocked us off faster, so we couldn't pass it forwards. Okay, then what happened? Well, we had tackles or we passed the ball at the pitch. Okay, great. So now, going back into training, we're going to look at how do we deal with the press? How do we play through people? So it might be the runs off the ball that we need to work on. It might be the first touch of the player, because actually, taking 1 touch, 2 touch, and then trying to pass. It needs to be a first-time pass or 1 touch and pass. So if we look at that game as an exam, a test of what we've been learning and how we've been putting that in place. Did we pass? Did we fail? Okay. We need to deal with that in training now. So it's conversations. So I think that winning has gotten a bad reputation. Because a lot of people would just go, we have to win, we lost, that's terrible,
Yeah.
it's awful. But then by the flip side, they go, oh, well, losing's fine, it's cool, it's no problem. That has its issues as well. So we've got to kind of, for me personally, sit in the middle. Like, losing's fine, but we have to work out why we lost. Winning games helps us work that out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. It's funny that we use the same words that you used. Like we take every match, every tournament as like little exams that you need to work on. So let's say we studied during the training, and then the exam is on the pitch, on the the match in the tournament. And this is funny here. I don't know in other countries. Here in Thailand, they have this format of tournaments that is like 2 days tournament, Saturday and Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the first day, after the first day, they divide into, let's say, Division 1, Division 2. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So in the end of the day, on Sunday, this happened to our kids a month ago. So one group age went to the first division, and the other group age went to the second division. And the team that went to the first division, they lost in the semi-final, if I'm not mistaken. So they got the fourth place. Yeah, in the third and fourth, they lost again. So the feeling was like, oh, I'm the fourth one. So they were sad and stuff. But the team that went to the second division, we were the champion
Mm-hmm.
of the second division. But in the tournament, there was 24 teams. It means that we were the number 13th of the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
But the feeling of this team that went to the second division was like, yes, we are the winners.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm completely against this kind of format that they give the award to the 13th player, 13th place, but the fifth place, the fourth place, the third place, they feel down, you know. So I don't know if this happens in other countries. I just wanted to hear from you and what you
Yeah.
think about it as well.
Well, there's lots of it. So I think Dom in the UK would talk about as like cups and shields. So if you win your first round, you go into the cup. Second round, you go into the shield or whatever. First division, second division, it's the same thing really. I think the idea of getting more experience playing within tournament football was the idea behind it. But obviously, if that's not framed in the right way or discussed with the kids and go, look, you win an award for coming 13th. Like, it's easy to see how that can become like a mixed sense of success. And you go, yeah, we won, we're brilliant, but there's better teams than us. So did we win? And like, that can become confusing. And I think what's important is that a lot of coaches speak to kids about that, because you can set like false expectations and understanding of where you are. Because unfortunately, a lot of coaches will come and go, we won this tournament. And you go, yeah, well, you won it. But
Yes.
You didn't play great football, and
yes,
you
I
won
think that's the worst.
shield.
Yeah, because especially I know about these tournaments, the results through social media, so I always see the photos of the champion. But later on, we found out that this team was the champion of the third division or second division.
Yeah,
and then I think is what you said. Yeah, the approach of the coaches should be, to say the reality. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a level of transparency that's difficult, because there's a lot of things come into it, like getting kids into that academy for that coach to make money and to earn a living and all these sorts of things. So it's about they're presenting an image of a certain way that that's fantastic that group won the tournament as an example. It's brilliant that they won it. There is a level of potential dishonesty around what they won and how they won it. For example, coaches trying to make that as big as possible. But I think those sort of situations for me is that I would want to explain to my group is that we've got a chance to go and win something. It's not going to be the biggest tournament that we're playing in here. We've got a chance to win something. That gives us a springboard next time to go and be more competitive at a higher level, because we have to take those lessons from what we learned there into what we do next time. And that's the idea of progressing and getting better. I think that comes with a kind of bigger picture of if it's Thai football, like how do we make Thai football better? It can't just be one person's club getting better. So like you'll see a lot like Scotland's a 2-horse race. The Bundesliga is a 1-horse race. There's one club that runs away, and a lot of times you'll see it. The best youth clubs get the best boys or girls that are recruited to it, and they go and dominate. So that this, I think, potentially part of the coach education, I think that's needed for Thailand or Southeast Asia and these other countries is that like really we should be like the phrase the rising tide lifts all ships. So if we've got more of an environment that helps everyone go up together, and we're not using these types of tournaments and things as tools, oh, I'm going to take that kid and I want him and I want her. She's a brilliant player. I'm going to go speak to the parent. But actually, we're going into that and go, that's a tool for my team to get better. That's a tool for us to help grow sport in this region because we've got competitive teams, and my team's going to get better because next year we're going to play in we're going to win that group and we're going to go and compete in the top division or whatever it might be. And I think that's, again, one of the issues with Southeast Asia is that a lot of coach education isn't as widely available. So having good coaches, experienced coaches to have these conversations with guys coming into these situations, it's not the most common thing.
Right.
Oh, yeah, interesting.
Yep. So I want to bring back the topic to Thai football that we like. I think our audience wants to see what's your ideas of how can the Thai football be developed. So as you had other experience in other countries, what would you say that is the main points for the Thai football to develop, like in the youth level?
Two things for me is that so there's a lot of like great, really nice possession football, really like tidy little teams that will pass the ball well, move the ball well. One of the big things for me is that like actually playing the game. So not being scared of or encouraging kids, I'm not saying scared, encouraging kids to go, you want to play 1v1, go play 1v1. But you have to understand how that works in the game. If you want to run with the ball and just go past people, go run with the ball, go past people. If you then want to put crosses in, if you want to play like a false nine and drop in and receive the ball, like maybe your favourite player is Harry Kane, go and play like that. Go and experience playing all these different positions and doing all these different jobs, and then kind of develop more players and more styles. Because I feel there's a lot of teams you go up and play against here, a lot of possession-based football, and then you see it in T1. A lot of clubs go, it's my turn to have the ball. Okay, now it's your turn to have the ball. Oh, it's my turn again. And you get a lot of these games are quite territory based or possession based, and they can be a bit slower. And when teams just throw something in completely different, the score's 5-6-7-1 or something like that, and it just goes crazy. So I think for me, like a lot of variety in how people play could be or could give teams in Thailand a massive opportunity, because when they step up and they start playing T1 or they start playing in the AFC Cups and Asian Cups and things like this, they can then go to Vietnam and go, all right, okay, you're going to be really aggressive and really direct. I can deal with that because I've been playing against teams like that. Or if you go and play against Japan, where they move the ball incredibly quick and they've got loads of great little interactions and third man runs and all this clever stuff, I can deal with that. That's cool. I've seen this before. So for me, or what I like to do with my teams is they go, brilliant, we've got a really athletic kid, so we're going to encourage them to run with the ball. And then I've got this great little midfielder who likes to hold on to it and he likes to go and dribble past people. Fantastic. I'm going to encourage them how to do it. And you're almost talking to teams and saying to them, I was like, how do you play with that player playing centre midfield? And then how do you play with this player playing on the right wing? And how is that as a team? How do we then pull that together into our style? So it's not necessarily Thai style, or it's not necessarily, I don't know, Farang style or Western style, or whatever it would be. But you can develop different approaches. And I think that comes from, again, coach education is a big thing for me now, is learning from experienced coaches with different experiences. If you're in a situation where they want to keep possession of the ball, the opposition want to keep possession of the ball, so we can just force them to keep possession in an area that's not going to hurt us. We're not going to lose the game. And then it might be that when we steal it, it might be that we want to invite them out so that when we steal it, we just counter-attack. We'll play like Leicester. Brilliant. We'll just let you come and keep possession in our midfield third. As soon as we win the ball, boom, we're going behind to Jamie Vardy. No problem. Being a bit more clever about how you play the game, and not necessarily playing a possession game, I think is going to be really important for Thai players going forwards. Sort of break the mould a little bit. Still be able to play possession games, because if you want to get into a first team, you need to impress managers. But then maybe having that little bit difference about you, I can make these box-to-box runs. So I'm going to keep the ball, and then bang, I'm going to go. And I'm just going to drive away through midfield, in behind the centre-back. And I'm going to roll it in for the striker. But it's that little bit of difference and kind of ability to take control of games, basically.
It's interesting what you say, actually. Like, I remember my experience playing at various clubs in Thailand when I first came from the UK to Thailand. Like, becoming accustomed to the style of play, I feel like some of the older generation Thai coaches would like see me play, knowing full well I've played like at a academy level in England. It's kind of like, what? He's like playing long balls, you know what I mean? Like, they'd just be like, I just couldn't quite adapt to it with the with some of the older generation Thai coaches. So I definitely see where you're going with that.
Mm-hmm. Thing is that's part of it as well. Is you have to, and I think something again, the older or more experienced players who've maybe played in Europe, or they've played in different parts of Asia, they could be really, really useful, because they can say to these younger boys, it's like, see, when you're speaking to him, he's been at this club for 10 years. He's played the same style for 10 years. So you're not going to change his mind on things. He wants the ball in this specific way. Give it to him that way. You're going to keep him happy. He's not going to get annoyed at you. He's not going to get upset playing that style. But then when you get the opportunity, you can maybe branch out and you can maybe make these overlapping runs that you want to make, or you can play those longer passes. But there's an element of, you need to learn how to keep people happy as well. And I think that's an experience thing too. Like you say, like, you come in and you go, he doesn't want that long ball all the time, and you want to in feet every single time. So you have to learn the group, and then over time you can maybe make change, and you can maybe say, see, if I give it to your feet, give it to me here, and I can find the winger. I've got that pass in me. And then you have to learn to grow with the team. So you have to kind of respect where they've came from. There's a lot of very, very experienced, very, very good high-level players that played for a long time in teams in Thailand. To respect where they've came from and how they've got there, and then be prepared to add that little bit extra in as you go, and then you pull people around. You know what I mean? Like that's unfortunately not an easy thing to learn, but kind of something that experience will give you over time.
Yeah, definitely agree. So I was thinking, I wanted to touch, seeing as though we're on the topic of Thai football, and this is definitely an interesting one from my personal view to ask you as well. Like, what was your experience like working at Buri United's Brie Academy? Because I know, like, when I went into that role, I'd never coached properly before, so I'm very grateful to have met you as a senior member of staff and learn a lot coaching underneath you and assisting you a lot at the club as well. So yeah, what was your experience like at Buriram United?
Yeah, Buriram was really good. Fantastic facility, really, really good people around the club as well. So I initially came in as a kind of an assistant to the manager at the time, a guy called Ben Slade, who'd been there for a couple of years by that point. And again, another really good coach who's doing great things down in England, I believe, kind of around England, Wales kind of area. Whereas he had a lot of experience and understood how that kind of Thai culture worked with obviously Thai staff and foreign staff, and there was good staff in different areas. So we had Ethan, a goalkeeping coach, who again
Yeah.
spoke really, really good Thai, had been ingrained in that culture for a long time. And we found that there was certain ideas that people were really, really open to, kind of playing with that slightly more aggressive and more controlling style, not necessarily just playing passes for the sake of passes being made was what I think we got a lot of success with in that time. And it was brilliant to be a part of. Now, what I will say is I don't think it's the be all and end all. You don't have to be at someone like Buri, the biggest club in the country, effectively. You don't have to be going through their program to be learning these things. There are some wonderful coaches and environments and that around Thailand. But that being one of the biggest ones, obviously, it's great to be a part of.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
All right. So we are about to wrap it up, our podcast episode. So it's been very interesting to hear from you. And I want to finish with my last question. This question I want to make to every guest that we receive here. So, in the ideal world, how would your team play? What's your ideal style of playing? So, how would you answer that?
So this is so I like I've been speaking to my friends a lot about this lately. Actually, I've got a friend who's an MMA coach, and he's been talking about opening his gym. He's opening a couple of different gyms in different places, and he talks about the style of no style. It's very martial artsy, kung fu type thing to say, but effectively, it's like being quite adaptable. So being able to make a decision and go, this is what's needed at this moment against this type of person because they're doing these things. So being able to adapt to that and go, okay, this is what we need to do. So, for example, my last team with the girl squad that we had in Dubai, we had a little winger, little French girl who was brilliant. She was electric. Get the ball on her feet, she would dribble past people. She was scoring a few goals as well, which was great. But the team we're playing against were really clever, so they dropped 3 players in to block her, so she couldn't start running with the ball. So then the approach to it was, all right, Lena, you're not going to play off on the left. You're going to come inside, do the same job you're doing for me, but do it from centre midfield. And then all of a sudden, those 3 players can't come inside, and they can't man mark her, because that just leaves a load of space where she just pops the ball out to her new left winger. And then all of a sudden, her left winger's got loads of space to go and attacking. So I think for me, that kind of adaptability. Now, I like to teach some ideas from like positional play, like Manchester City, in terms of the 5 lanes. So you'd have wide spaces, half spaces, central spaces. And then how do we move forward? How many players should we have in lanes at certain times? What types of passes should we play in that? And then I like to say, all right, okay, but based on the team we're playing against, how do we use that? So in that same situation, okay, we can't go from our central space to our wide spaces to give the ball to Lena. So Lena's going to have to come inside. And that way, that gives us space for someone else to go play. So really being like adaptable, I think is the way that I would approach it. Not so much that it's just go play and work it out. It's we have a plan and an idea about how we want to go forwards, but we're going to have to work out what's the best way to put that in place based on the team that we're playing, effectively.
Interesting.
Right.
I mean,
Great.
don't think many people would say that, but that's a definitely good philosophy. I like that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for me, Coach Sam. Any other question you'd like to do?
No other questions from my side. I just hope that everyone that is watching and listening and tuned in today, that they get a lot of good, insights on the wealth of knowledge and experience from the 3 of us, speaking today. And I hope it does benefit people and gives them value. So, but if it does, then make sure you subscribe and like the video. Let's not
Yes.
think of that.
Yes. It was very, very, very good to receive you here. I'd like to thank you, Coach Grant. I think it's good for our audience to hear from different, people. For example, like football players, football coaches, and also like other people involved in football. So I think the more we can share the word, like our experience, I think it's beneficial for the audience. So like once again, thank you so much for your time. And as Coach Sam said, if you liked this content, make sure you subscribe, you like, you share with your friends, with your teammates. So this helps us to, reach more people and keep going with this podcast. All right. Coach
Yeah.
Grant, anything else you want to say to wrap it up?
No, I'm grand. Yeah, that was good. Good fun. It's enjoyable to come back and have a chat with you guys. It's good. Thank you very much for having me.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
And Thailand, Thailand is looking forward to having you back.
Yes,
I can say that for
I'm
sure.
looking forward to be back as well.
Yeah, definitely.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Is that done?
Yes, I just